When you're trying to explain information like data or steps of a process or those kinds of things, you may want to use more of a graphic organizer to be able to explain that information to somebody, and it really makes it look more professional and easier to understand. So these are infographics that could be used by businesses. There's hundreds of thousands out there. And one thing that Word and Excel and PowerPoint and all the Office products now feature is something called SmartArt. And that's where you can take some information. Maybe it's a process, maybe it's a hierarchy, maybe it's all the pieces that go to a puzzle to kind of make up this full big picture, or maybe it's just data and you want to explain it to people in an easy to digest format visually, and visually they're more likely to read it rather than it just being like text or numbers. So infographics or smart arts, which are just graphical organizers, both of them are graphical organizers, you can use to be able to explain information to people in a more easy to digest format. Now, these are a little bit more advanced graphic organizers, but when you're using Word and PowerPoint and those kinds of things, there is a feature now inside of the Microsoft Office programs to be able to organize our information in a graphic organizer. So opening up our objects document that we created in the last video, we're going to go ahead and create a smart art. So I'd like you to pause the video here and see if you can find smart art. Smart art is found on the Insert tab because we're inserting it into the document. And when you're on the Insert tab, it's in this Illustrations group. This Illustrations group is a great group to be able to really add graphics to a document, or same thing for a presentation or those kinds of things, to be able to engage your reader a little bit more or engage your audience a little bit more. And inside of Illustrations, we have SmartArt. Now, when you hover over SmartArt, it will actually say that it's a graphic to visually communicate information like graphical lists, diagrams, those kinds of things, Venn diagrams, organization charts. All of those are going to be inside of your SmartArt graphic organizers. So when we go into SmartArt, you have a lot of options, and all of them are in the center here. And when you hover over these, you actually get the name of them, which is important for the exam because it's going to tell you to use a specific smart art with a specific name. And right now we're currently on all, so it's showing every type of smart art. But you can see as I scroll through here, there's a lot of different options available to me to be able to create a really great graphic organizer for whatever information I'm needing to share. And then on the left over here, you have different options for like list, process, cycle, and then all the way at the bottom, you even have an office.com where there's even more that they're adding. Every once in a while, they add more and more that are available here that are above and beyond the different options inside of our smart art. So what I want you to do is I want you to find a specific smart art, and you're going to have to think about the name of it and be able to locate that smart art. So I want you to find an organization chart hierarchy smart art, and I want you to be able to insert that. And it's very specific that you find the organization chart hierarchy smart art, so that way you can have the right one. And if you were in the exam, for instance, you would get all the points. So we're looking for the organization chart hierarchy smart art. So go ahead and pause the video here and see if you can find it. The organization chart hierarchy smart art is going to be in hierarchy because it has the word hierarchy in it. And we're going to go ahead and go to that hierarchy area. And I want you to think about really quickly why we would go to this hierarchy area if in fact the thing we want to be creating, because we're going to create together a family tree. So a family tree obviously has different levels of family members at those levels for generations, and that gets organized in a fashion where all the generations sit at the same level. So like me and my sister would be at the same level, right? My dad and his siblings would be at the same level. So you have those options, and that's why you would want to use a hierarchy smart art for this. This is also used a lot for like businesses to show who reports to who and those kinds of things. And so this is where we would use a hierarchy to be able to do that. The first one, when I click on hierarchy, is actually called organization chart. If I hover over it, it says organization chart. And then over here on the right, once it's selected, it also says organization chart. So you want to make sure you're inserting the right one because we want to make sure that we're doing the same thing together, but also to practice for the exam. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK once we've chosen that organization chart hierarchy, and that will insert on our document. Really quickly, I have a couple things that I want to point out. Number one, you have this text pane over here. If you don't have this text pane, there's this little arrow off to the left of your SmartArt that will open and close that text pane. So if I actually close this, I can then open it by clicking this button and it will open back up. And this text pane is actually the most important part about SmartArt. It looks really annoying and it's like, well, why would I do that if I have all these shapes and this prettiness over here? But this is actually the base of your SmartArt and we're gonna be using it a lot. You can also open up your text pane up here in the ribbon. Something else to point out is now your ribbon has adjusted. So now you have these new tabs called SmartArt Design and Format. And if you click off to the right of your SmartArt here twice and deselect it, you'll see that those tabs actually disappear. And this is going to be with every kind of object we insert: pictures, SmartArt, shapes, tables, doesn't matter. When we're clicked off of it, those tabs disappear, but to get them back, you just select the object. So we just select the object back, click on it, and those tabs come back. So really important for you to be able to utilize as we go in and work with this SmartArt.